Hey, good morning. Welcome to a foreigner in the Philippines. I'm going to have to louder my voice a little because it's raining. Rain on our hot tin roof. So, one of the things that we discuss that we just never ever end and settle, and that is the question of why do Filipinos choose a foreigner? And this particular post, this particular comment sums it up. It says, Filipinos from the province choose foreigners because foreigners have money. That's the end of the subject. That's the fact. It's written in stone, sketched in blood. No getting away from it. That's what happens. Now, the only problem with that is that when I met Beth, I didn't have any money. And I actually really don't have much money now either. But what we have is we have a life. But we'll get to that in a second. I think what happens with people who are onlookers onto a relationship with a foreigner and a Filipina is they look first of all at the Filipina. Now, sad to say that we as humans seem to work very, very well when we're opposed to something. We work very well at accepting the most incredible generalities. Like that's a generality. I mean, there's no leeway in there. There's no this is only my opinion. There's no disclaimers. There's no pleading that this is not a guarantee. This is how I found it. No, it's plain fact. It's written in stone. Foreigners are chosen by Filipinos because they have money. Now, we have so many foreigners who write to us and say, can I come to the Philippines and live on, say, $1,200, $1,500? The one that I just read a little while ago, I read a comment, and it was from a man who wants to come to the Philippines, and he would just like confirmation. Can I really come there and live on $1,500 a month? And I wrote back to him and I said, in order to make a move to any other country, it takes hope for the future, and it takes courage, because all of your support system has been left behind. You don't just leave all your possessions and everything, and where you pruned everything down like I went from a house into a suitcase in order to come here. You have to leave a lot of your, information, support information, how to do this, how to do that, how to fill a form out, what department to go to, all of these things which you may well be faced with when you get here, how to ask directions, there's so many how-tos that land on your plate as soon as you make a move to a foreign country and a foreign culture, and there's no getting away from that. Also, we all like to have money in our pocket. Now, Beth and I often go through this, that I will say, I don't have any money, I need to go to the bank, I've got to have money. Now, there's something in the makeup of a Filipino that they are used to having no money. So it doesn't actually strike at the very core of the person if they find that they don't have any money. But in the West, we are conditioned with the idea that in order for a cop to be able to stop us and actually probably arrest us for vagrancy, all that we have to be doing is just not have any money. So if a cop thinks that you're suspicious in the West and he stops you and starts talking to you, if he has probable cause, he can ask you to turn out your pockets. And, oh, hey, sir, you have no money. I'd better take you in. And if the cop is having a bad hair day or a bad helmet day, that can happen. and nasty things can go from there. Filipinos don't seem to have that, and we've tried to say this before. In all the houses that we built from scratch, that we helped to finish, that we provided some of the materials for, 31 houses, if we had said to those people, we're going to build you a house which is going to cost 100,000 pesos, they would be so delighted. And if we then said, all you have to do is pay us 500 pesos. 500 pesos. Work it out. 500, a couple of thousand pesos. I'm getting my math round the wrong way around. It's a few dollars. A few dollars. And if you said that to them, I know that they would have to say, we don't have it. Look at some of the help that we've given, and this proves the case. Single moms who are coming to us and saying, we can't put our child in school because we don't have the 500. I think it's somewhere between 300 and 500. We end up giving 500 for a birth certificate. So look at it. Here's a lady with a child and she doesn't have the money to pay for a birth certificate. Forget about the uniform, forget about pencils, paper, a school bag, forget about giving them a little bit of money for a meal when they get there. They go with a bowl of rice, and that's their thing. So this whole idea of a Filipino being without money is totally different to a Westerner. For me, if I'm going to go somewhere, I like to at least have, if I was desperate, have the taxi fare to get home. And I have a horror of going in and I'm supposed to buy something, and it would be a horror for me to actually think that I may not have the money to buy it. So I might go in and say, can I have a dozen widgets? And they come up and they say that'll be 1,750, and I've only got 1,300. That would be so embarrassing for me. So when I go in and I know that the thing may well cost 1,400 or 1,500 or 1,600 pesos, I gotta have 2,000 in my pocket. Now, back to the generality of why would a Filipino choose a foreigner on the basis of money? Well, here's the thing. Here's what I notice as I walk around as a foreigner. What I notice is that certain people don't even see me, or they glance at me and then they're gone. So I'm of no importance to them, no attraction to them. That's it. Believe me, I'm not talking about thinking with the other head, or women getting the hots for you. I'm talking about just ordinary people reacting to you and responding to you in a certain way. And not everyone loves and admires foreigners. Not everyone. And a lot of that, although I would be accused of speaking too generally now myself, a lot of that is because of the way that foreigners act. That they act as if they are the ones who are going to teach everybody to do everything, to change their world. And they come out here and that's how they behave. Nobody likes to think that the country that they live in is so backward that some ordinary looking expat is going to come in and change it for them. Why, in that case, why don't we just take the first expat that they see on the road, make him into the president, and hey presto, as they used to say as a child. Everything would be cured because he would know exactly what to do with it. I had a bricklayer who came on message to me and said, I'm planning on coming out. I'm a bricklayer. I'm good at my job. I don't doubt that for a second. The bricklaying in the Philippines, from what he's seen, is crap. I don't know whether that's the word that he used, but anyway, that's what he was saying. It's rubbish. It's no good. So when I come out there, I'm going to show the Philippines how to improve their building practice. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? So that's it. All that we need to do on that basis then is, well, we'll get a plumber. He'll change the Philippine world for the plumbing. We get one plumber, we get one bricklayer, we get one architect, get one engineer, and they'll come in like superheroes and they'll just change everything. It's not going to happen. Somebody just wrote to me and said, why don't you get those little tiny military can openers? They're so easy to use and everybody can open cans. Why? Because they do it very well with a knife. And when you have somebody who does something very well and very easily, I'm ashamed almost to admit that I now, when I have to open a can, I actually say to Beth, can you open this can for me? I say to my Nane, can you open the can? And she gets the can and literally she opens it like this, so easily and clean, and hands me the can. So, in as much as, yes, things can be improved greatly here, Lone Ranger expats are not going to come over here and do it. That's a generality also that doesn't work. Now when a Filipina looks at an expat, looks at a foreigner, they know, for a start, they know that the foreigner is rich compared to them. Now all information is contextual. You have to look at it in the context that it is given. So, am I rich? In what context? Am I rich if I go to lunch with Bill Gates? No. Am I rich if I go with a homeless guy off the street and out of an act of kindness I invite him to the table? Not McDonald's apparently, from the recent thing that I saw about this on Facebook, but if I take him into a restaurant and buy him a meal, am I rich? Yes, beyond his dreams. So the context is important. Now to the average Filipino, now that a young Filipina in her 30s will usually be extremely attractive, if not beautiful. That's a generality, and I know that generalities don't work. But for the main part, any expat coming over here will be able to ask out a young Filipina, and she will, as long as he doesn't look terrible, she will probably accept it. Now, let's get out of the picture all of those ones that are going to be gold diggers, okay? They're not the majority, okay? I don't believe that they are the majority. Will a Filipina make a judgment on whether she should marry a given expat, a given foreigner? Will she make a judgment call on that, and what will that judgment call be based on? Well, for one thing, it will be based on the fact that she should at least find that the man is not repulsive. And I've seen a few that don't look that attractive to me, but then I'm not looking for a Filipino husband, an expat husband. But the woman would have to at least feel something for the man, unless she was just a gold digger, in which case she's just going to rip him off of all his money and then leave him. The whole subject of whether a man is attractive enough doesn't come into it when it's a gold digger, because they're not interested and they're not here to stay and they're going to go. But for an average Filipina coming in, they're going to have certain parameters in which they want that foreigner to fall. Is security a high risk? Is that a high thing? Is that a high ingredient in the mix? Yes, I think it is. And before they meet this, up to that moment, fictional, mythical foreigner who's going to love them forever, they're going to look at the security. They're going to look at the struggle they're having. And they're going to make, I think, some kind of a sensible business kind of decision ahead of time. Is this peculiar to Filipinos? Hardly. Hardly. No woman in the world is going to knowingly pick up with a man who is without money, without any ambition, without any prospects. They're not going to do it. In America, when I was in America, in Florida, looking in the personals, when I looked in the personals, I was horrified to see that in Naples, which is a very wealthy community that's very close to Fort Myers, and the woman that described herself there made it quite clear that she required the man who would answer in order to receive a response from her would have to earn $130,000 a year. No bones about that. $130,000 a year was her minimum for living in her kind of poverty. Once again, it's all about context. So to land this as blame on Filipinos that they choose foreigners because they have money is a little bit too much of a generality. It can't actually work, because it's what's implied when people say that is that it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, and this is simply not true, is it? Whenever I hear foreigners come over here and they talk about corruption, and you'll find an American or a British guy or an Australian, my favourite three for pinning down as examples, they'll come over here and say, yeah, well, problem with the Philippines is corruption. You know, if they could handle the corruption, it would be marvellous. Where are you from, sir? America, the UK, Australia, Germany, France. And they don't have corruption there. Oh, it's nothing like here. I mean, it's been proven in almost every country in the world that there is massive corruption from those in power to those who are powerless. And it's true. The favourite expression in America, and my love of American expressions is well known. Americans know how to describe something, not poetically, but boy, they nail it. Things like, as I've said before, collateral damage. That's where a lot of people are killed just by accident, where you go, oops, sorry about that. What's the other ones? There's no free lunch. I mean, it just sums it up so perfectly. In other words, you've got to work for your living. There's no free lunch. And they can nail it every time. And what do they have right now? They're looking at, 98% of the wealth is owned by, 98% of the wealth is owned by just a few people. And the 2% of the wealth is owned by everybody else. They've nailed the way of describing it so very well. And the 2% are not empowered to change it, because all of the wealth, 98%, I think it's 98% is owned by 2% of the population, I think, and 2% of the wealth is owned by 98% of the population. It might even be that. Well, that's certainly about the sense of it. So any woman anywhere is going to say, I want to have children, so therefore I want someone who will be able to support a family of 4. House, car, send the kids to school, clothe them, give them some pleasure, some food, and bring them up. So anywhere in the world is going to do that. So this thing of our Filipinos, our Filipinas, our Filipino women after an expat only because he has money. No. What's happened, I think, is that they have pruned it down to that a foreigner is more likely to be able to support them, even in a modest way, than a Filipino. And that's why they go after a foreigner. Now, foreigners can often have a lot more money. Myself, I didn't have a lot more money. I had a very modest pension, 2 pensions, one miserably small and the other one slightly less miserably small. But I was able to say to Beth, I don't have a lot of money, and mean it truthfully. In fact, once when she got a little bit to the point, she said, really at your age you should have some savings. Well, yes, I was chastened. But I was able to say to her that I can support us. I can support us in comfort in a modest way. And we would have been able to save and do a little bit of travelling, at least to another country, which was one of our goals at first, until we came to live on Bohol. So any woman is going to do that, and it's an unfair accusation to say that it boils down to is a Filipina interested in money or not. Every woman is interested in security, and as soon as you get over that, then a Filipina is no different. And the sad part is that there's more chance if they are with a foreigner. Now here's the other thing as well. Take out the party goers, right? Take out the guys who like to hang in bars and have fun, and they've come over here and they're going to enjoy the all the true love that money can buy. That's what they're going to do. We recently met an expat who, when we talked about him finding someone, he said, I'm not interested in finding someone. Not talking about Tracy now. Tracy found his love against all of his opposition at the beginning. This was somebody else, and he said, I'm not interested. And he actually said quite openly to Beth, which is unusual because Beth is the lady of the family. He said, I'm into one-night stands. That's fine for me. In other words, as Oscar Brown Jr. once sang, all of the true love that money can buy. And that was it. So get those guys out of the way and talk about guys who are coming over, writing to me saying, can I find true love and a comfortable living on X number of dollars? And those are the guys that we're really talking about. They're going to come over here on a modest pension. Compared to the Americas, a modest pension would be $1,500 a month. It would be difficult to live in comfort on $1,500 a month. It would be quite difficult. It would be no kind of retirement. So they come here and they can have a good retirement. All they have to do is employ the same kind of common sense here that they would in America or any of the other countries. And that's really... What?
No, I'm calling Basha.
So that's what I wanted to ramble on about, and ramble on I did. I never have any trouble doing that, do I? Thanks for listening. Hope it actually makes some sense to you. In defense of the Filipina, I feel. Bye for now.